this place is powerful. We need to be reminded that it can do a lot of crazy shit to us if it wanted to.
We're here with Native Outdoors and Access Fund and the one and only Tommy Caldwell. We're gonna go ski in and boot pack out, start our day.
We brought this group together to talk about native lands and climbers. Climbers interact with native communities all across the country, so Access Fund's been working to just help facilitate a conversation about how climbers can be good partners and how we can do a better job of interacting with native lands and native communities.
The association of folks with climbing is basically that of, people just trespassing on native land. So it hasn't yet come, I guess, until recently of native folks actually taking on the sport and saying, how do we make this our own, and how do we bring this back to our home community? Because the reason why we came on the scene in large part is that much of these landscapes act as a library. It's like a Library of Congress of stories, cultural traditions, and knowledge about how to manage these landscapes. And we saw a really big gap in the stories that were being told. We came on the scene a couple years ago in large part to fill that gap. On our Skin Up, I don't know if you heard me singing that song. That's I always say it's like pulling my permit, because
That's cool.
Because we have these songs about mountains and our sacred mountains, and climbing them is in our songs. And so when we go out, we sing as if to introduce ourselves to the mountains.
Right now we're at Performance Park, which is in downtown Estes Park. What's really neat is that the city has created this outdoor climbing right on the main walking trail. And so it's a really cool node to how climbing is becoming more and more accessible to more people.
What should we be thinking about when we're out on the landscape? Even just when we're at the belay, reflecting on where we are and appreciating, what should we be thinking about? What questions should we be asking ourselves? And how can we be better partners?
We come to these native lands we should trail build, but how do we know if that's actually appreciated or if that's respectful? Because it might be viewed as that we're just trying to pave a track for more people to come and exploit their land, So I guess it gets down to just talking.
Each tribe is, they have their own sovereign status, they have their own governance. Any sort of management discussion, you have to go through the tribal government. And that's one way to build sort of continuity, and also just respecting tribal laws, tribal sovereignty, and that's a big piece of it. Leave no trace applies to cultural resource protection, and at the end of the day, that's what tribes are really concerned about, is protecting these areas.
Just simply staying on the trail. Or if you find artifacts, not to disturb them.
Transmitting that across all cultures and all backgrounds is important.
The reason why I'm continuing in outdoor industry is to try to use outdoor industry to advance health and well-being in Navajo, actually specifically the Navajo Nation. Once I started climbing, that changed my whole connection, even with the local landscape that I was on. So that really brought this kind of missing identity puzzle piece for me. And I feel like that's something that if we can share that with the Native youth, that would be pivotal.
I find that through my experience with climbing, I've cultivated this appreciation for the outdoors in a really engaged way. Because if the outdoors is where you recreate and where you play, then you have this innate sense of wanting to protect it. Tommy, it's really interesting because you obviously grew up in the outdoors, but then I see it just the way that you raise your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm raising my kids to try and produce people that will respect the land, respect the culture, become environmentalists, and climbing connects you with the landscapes in this incredible way. I think when you get out and you do something that's scary, it creates this intimacy that weaves its way into all aspects of life.
We think climbing's really good for kids. It gets them connected to the outdoors. It's good for rural economies. People are healthier, happier. It's just a good thing all around, and we're really excited about that.
You go to these places intentionally with a purpose, and and you don't visit them sort of wantonly just to go conquer it or crush it, and that's I think part of it is having that conversation and starting that conversation in our community by us kind of creating that imagery of saying we're doing this, and how do we do this respectfully.